This is Michael Kostick, and this is a conversation with my grandfather, Charles Frederick Bosch. Grandpa, tell me about your mom and dad.
Well, my mother was born in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, and my dad was born in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother worked at National Biscuit, and my father, his father had a pretzel bacon shop. In fact, that was the first pretzel bacon shop in Philadelphia.
Mm.
It was at 28th and Stella Street in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad, they got married, and Dad bought a house in Nicetown, 2036 Rowan Street. When the crash came, he lost his job, he lost his house, and he also did parts of work that he was interested in on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So this one day, he sold Remington adding machines.
Mm.
And this one day, he gets a call to come up to a laundry, the Queen Service Laundry in Germantown.
Mm-hmm.
Their adding machine wouldn't work. So an old Dutchman owned the laundry, and when he went in, they were all sitting around the office, and he told them that he was there to repair the adding machine. So they told him to go ahead, and when he got the cover off, he gesagt lieber to the Dutchman, the owner of the laundry. No wonder, he said, the machine is not working, the engineer's dead. So he pulled a dead mouse out of the machine.
Uh-huh.
So the old man took a liking to my father, and he gave him a job driving the route.
Mm.
And well, he drove the route for quite a few years, and in the meantime, he served the Hornado Brewery, and he used to do the towels for the Steiner. And John Hornado asked him one day if he wanted to take a ticket on the house, and he said, "Well, I can't afford it." And John says, "Well," he says, "I'll loan you the quarter." He says, "It's only a quarter a ticket." So my father took a ticket on it, and it was to be raffled off on New Year's Eve.
A house?
The house was raffled off,
Okay.
yeah. And the New Year's Eve, they sent the telegram to the laundry, and the engineer received it. And when Dad went to work the next day, he says, "Freddie," he says, "there you have a telegram up on Chelton Avenue, the Western Union." So my father thought it was my Uncle Frank, who passed away in New Jersey, and he says, "We better drive right on up and get the telegram." So we drove up, and he got the telegram. I was sitting in the truck, and he comes running across Chelton Avenue waving the telegram, "I want a house, I want a house." So he that's when his luck started to change.
Mm-hmm.
So he worked for the old man until the old man at 96 passed away, and he had the will, my father's in the will, to accept the laundry and the routes.
Wow.
And that's how my father got started in the laundry and dry cleaning business.
Now, where was the house that he won?
The house is at 5331 Camac Street in Philadelphia.
Wow. Now, you know what? We got to back up a minute. You didn't tell us what your mom's name was.
Eleanor Hirsch Bosch.
Okay.
And
But her maiden name was Mertz?
Mertz, yeah. And well, things went on, and my dad got sheriffed out of Philadelphia, and we moved on up to Warminster.
Mm-hmm.
And I became 17, and I couldn't get a job anywhere but working on a farm. So my dad said, "Why don't you join the CCC camp?" And I said, "No, I'm going down and try to get in the Navy." Well, I was lucky. There was 2 quotas open, and I was one of the ones that was accepted. Then I went through boots training in Norfolk, Virginia, and after my boots was over, I got assigned to the USS Texas, the battleship.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it was 1938 or 39, we were summoned to go down to Burma and bombard Burma
Mm-hmm.
because the Japanese were so infested in China that they were just slaughtering the people.
Mm-hmm.
So we bombarded that, and when we come back, we laid over in Pearl Harbor, and we got orders to return to Norfolk to have 16 inchers put on the ship.
Right.
And we were 2 days out of Pearl Harbor when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. Well, we wanted to, the skipper wanted to turn around and get back, but got orders, no, return to Norfolk. We have to get the 16 inchers on it. So while we were in Norfolk, they were pulling the destroyers out of back channel in Philadelphia, and I was transferred up there to go on the USS Barry, the Commodore Barry,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a 4-pipe can. And well, we cruised around for a while until Roosevelt went through the Lend-Lease, and our ship, the Barry, was Lend-Leased to England. Then I was transferred back to Philadelphia, and I waited around in the shipboard going unit for a couple months, and they needed a bosun's mate in Patuxent River, Maryland, to beach these seaplanes. So I went down there, and I was a crew chief, and they saw that I was a ex-Navy man, and I was summoned by the captain to come up to his office. Well, when I got up there, he said, "Bosch, come in and sit down." I said, "Yes, sir." And he says, "We want you to start flying with the airplane." And I said, "Oh, no." I said, "I want to go back to sea." He says, "Well, you'll be over the sea." So I thought it over, and I told him, I said, "All right." I said, "I'll fly with it." I says, "Well, what is the reason you want a bosun's mate to fly?" He says, "Because what we're getting is a lot of commercial airline personnel coming into this squadron, and he says, I want this run the Navy way, not the airline way."
Right.
And we were making trips of vital war material to Naples, Italy, and took 9 days to get there.
And what was your route? What was your flying route?
The route was, first stop was Bermuda, the second stop was Trinidad, the third stop was Georgetown, British Guiana, and the fourth stop was Belém, Brazil, and then we went to Natal, Brazil, and then from Natal, Brazil, we flew over to Rio de Janeiro.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we flew to Fortaleza. And then from Fortaleza, we flew to Naples, Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way back, we did the same trip. And it took 10.5 days to come back. So, well, that's about my history of the Navy. But other than when they had points to come through, and my dad needed me to come home and help him out with the laundry, I told the commander that my dad needed me worse than the Navy did, Well, he talked to me for an hour and a half trying to get me to stay in the Navy, and I just wouldn't do it.
And about what year was this?
It was 1945 when the war was over.
Okay.
And I have overabundance of points of getting out, and all my crew members said, "Hey, loan me some of the points so I can get out." so that is about the history of my Navy career.
And what was your rank when you were discharged?
When my rank was second class petty officer, because I hit an officer. He come up and we were trying to beach a plane in a gale, and we had two men hanging on the back on the tail gear. They managed to get that on, but then when they had to put the starboard and port gear on, he run up and told the plane commander to take the plane out, and I went up and knocked him over, and I made the motion of cut the engines to save my men.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for the pilot testifying for me, I would have been broke down to seaman first class.
Wow.
So yeah, that's about the story of my
About the
career.
Navy. Now your dad's name was
Fred William Bosch.
okay, and you had two brothers.
Yeah, Bill was the oldest brother, and Fred was the youngest brother.
And you were in the middle.
I was in the middle. Yeah, I'm the middle boy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, my brother served in the Navy. He was on Guam, Saipan, and I can't remember the other one that he was on.
Your
but
brother Freddie?
Brother Freddie. Well, then when he got discharged, he come home and he run a route for my dad over in East Falls, Manayunk, and Roxborough. And well, things start getting so where they were starting to make washing machines, and that was cutting down on the business. So we had to double up on the routes. So my brother got a job with Philadelphia Electric.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked his way up to being line foreman. And when he retired, he only lived 2 years. He died with lung cancer. And
And what about Uncle Bill?
Uncle Bill, he worked for my dad only a short time, and he got a job with Link Belt Company in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about it with the family. Then in 1940, I did get married, and we had one child, a little girl, and she only lived to be 2 years old, and she had passed away. And
You married Pearl.
I married Pearl. Yeah, that's the washing machines. I pick it up and put it.
Okay, so in 1940 you met my grandmother.
Yeah. And, well, I met her before that. We went to school together.
Oh, did you?
But she was 4 grades ahead of me.
And her name?
Her name was Elma Pearl
Weiss.
Weiss.
Right.
Yeah. And when I married her, then I always called her Pearl.
Uh-huh.
But and never called her by her direct name. But we were married, had a very happy life, and she lived to be in 1973. She was 53 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And
And then you had 3 other children.
hmm?
You had 3 other children.
Yeah, I have 3 other children, Patricia, Carl, and Linda. And we are a very happy family.
Mm-hmm.
So then I remarried, and the mechanic that did the work on my laundry trucks, he passed away with a stroke, and then I married his wife, it was 6 years after he had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So then she passed away, and
That was Alice Keeble.
yeah, her name was Alice Keeble, then Alice Keeble Bosch, she changed her name to. and she passed away in the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Then I sold my house and I went into a senior citizens complex, which was a cottage that I had there. And well, the fees start going up and up and up, and I couldn't afford to stay there. And I moved up here in the Poconos with my daughter.
Okay. And
Which
and how do you like it up here?
I love it up here. So,
You've always had a history of going to the mountains
yeah.
and your love
Oh,
for the
yeah.
mountains and fishing.
Yeah, yeah. I always liked the mountain area. It was the shore. We used to go down the shore quite often. My dad had a place down there in Guilford Park, and we would go down almost every weekend. But I just couldn't stand that hot weather and sand. So,
Now-
then we start making trips up there. I bought a little trailer, and we start making trips up in the mountain
Mm-hmm.
on the weekends.
Now, I'm going to ask you some questions about some different stories that you tell, and some might backtrack over the timeline, but of the history of your history. So, you mentioned earlier that your grandfather was a pretzel baker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Well, he come over from Germany, and he got a house right on the corner of Stella, 28th and Stella, and in the basement he set an oven up, and the pretzel baking shop in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to unload 2 loads of wagon loads of pretzels in Exide a day.
Mm-hmm.
And plus other things that we saw. My aunts would go out and stand on the school corner and sell pretzels to the students. And well, that's about all I can tell you about.
Now, which grandfather was this?
That was Grandfather Bosch.
Okay.
Now, Grandfather Mertz, he come over from Germany, and he set up a pastry bakery in Langhorne,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where most of the children were born,
Okay.
in Langhorne. There was 8 children that Grandmom and Grandpa had.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Now, which one was running from the from Germany?
that was Grandpa Mertz.
Grandpa Mertz.
Yeah, he deserted the army during the First World War.
Hmm.
Well, then he had to keep moving over here because the Kaiser had
Spies.
the delegates over here.
Yeah.
Try to pick up any deserter.
Wow.
So he was he lived in Philadelphia, and then he moved back to Unionville, and then he got back to Philadelphia. He lived in West Philadelphia for the longest while,
Uh-huh.
and then he was a member of the Orangemen's Lodge,
Mm-hmm.
and then they went into the home there at the Orangemen's on Byberry Road, where they finally sold it out to the Methodist Church, and the Methodist Church set up a senior citizens home.
Mhm.
That's where I lived the last time that I had a house.
Mm-hmm. Before you moved up to the mountains.
Yeah, before I moved up to the mountains.
Mm-hmm. Now, your grandfather Bosch was the pretzel baker.
Right.
Now, what was the story about? That's no pretz.
What?
That's not a pretz.
Oh, yeah. One day, my mother brought some pretzels on Germantown Avenue, and she brought them home. His pop, there's a pretzel if you want it, and he broke it open and he pulled the dough inside and he bounced it on the floor like a ball. He says, that's not a pretz. He said, nobody bakes pretzel like me. Yeah.
Now, tell us about when you and your brothers went sledding.
Oh, my brother Bill, my oldest brother, we had a terrible storm. Well, we lived in Barron Hill then, and all the highways were closed. So my brother Bill said to me, "Come on, we're going sledding." So we got out on Germantown Pike, and he says, "Oh boy," he says, "look at this." He says, "It's got snow and ice on it." So he says, "You stand down a little ways and I'll belly flop and then you jump on top of me." You know, good thing I caught a hold of me. We rode all the way down to City Avenue. There was not, the cars were stuck all over the highway on the sides. You know, we had a clear path all the way down.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a long walk back.
I bet it was.
But we enjoyed it. Younger then.
Yeah. Now, what was the story about the Jersey Devil?
Oh, my aunts had bungalows down in South Jersey, and the three of them had a bungalow down there, and there was nothing around. And the word was going around about the Jersey Devil. So my one aunt, she gets a sheet and she gets up in the woods and a flashlight, and she's hollering, "Julie, Julie, where's my Julie? Oh, I can't find my Julie." And every now and then she put the flashlight on. Well, the ones that were in the bungalows, they were so upset. Oh God, somebody lost their little girl. So finally Aunt Bert come down. She says, "Did you hear any noise up in the woods?" "Yeah." She says, "That was me."
Boy, she was a prankster, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, she was something.
Now, what was about you stayed with Aunt Bert for a while?
Yeah, Mother got so sick with rheumatism that Aunt Bert said, "Well, come on down and stay with me."
Was Aunt Bert your mother's sister?
No, Aunt Bert was Dad's sister.
Oh, okay.
And well, I went down to live with him, and this one night at the supper table, Aunt Bert only had one little chicken. So each of us got a piece of chicken. Howard, Fran, Joe, and Carl. That was her boys.
Mm-hmm.
And and I got a piece of chicken. So I used to recite the little fishes in the brook to my uncle. So Uncle Frank said to me, "How about, you care for anything else, fishes?" He always called me Fisher. And I says, "Yeah, I'll have another piece of chicken." Well, there was no chicken left. Plenty of mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And poor Howard, he got to laughing, and my uncle was very strict. He said, "You don't cut up at the table, leave the table." So when I went outside, Howard, he's sitting there, he said, "I could have ate more mashed potatoes."
Yeah. Now, how did the little fishes think?
I used to recite that little fishes in the brook. Papa catch them with a hook. Mama put them in the pan, and Papa eat them like a man. So he used to get a kick out of me reciting that.
Right. Now, the Hatboro Hotel.
Oh yeah, Sam Good and we played in the Hatboro harmonica band.
About how old were you?
I was about 13 then.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jenkintown businessmen were having a business meeting and dinner at the hotel, and they asked if we wouldn't play for them. It'd be entertainment for them.
Right.
So we finished playing, and after we were walking off, the chef come running out of the kitchen and hollered, "Everybody get out, the place is on fire." So Sam and I, we run over to my grandmother and grandfather's. They were living in the apartment across the street. And we stood on the front porch and watched the Happer Hotel burn to the
Oh
ground.
my gosh.
Yeah, so, but it was all wood built
Yeah.
years ago, you know.
Wow.
So that wood was pretty dry.
Sure.
Uh,
Wow.
There's any more questions?
Yeah. What about you're known for smoking a pipe.
Well,
And how old were you when you started?
12 years old I was.
So and you,
I worked on a farm and there was nothing out to do. You were out there working by yourself. So I started smoking a pipe.
mm-hmm.
And my parents knew it. My father said, well, he might as well do it at home. He'll do it when he's out. So I smoked a pipe when I was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I just enjoyed pipe, and I'm 88 today and still smoke a pipe.
And you didn't always abide by school rules.
Yeah. Well, the school rules was no smoking on the ground. So I used to walk to school, and I'd put my pipe and tobacco underneath the bond bread box. And lunchtime, I'd walk up and get a couple smoke. And I'd come back. Well, the janitor see me doing it, and he says, what do you do when you walk up Madison Avenue? I said, oh, I got my pipe and tobacco under the bond bread box. And I said, I have a couple smokes when I'm up. He says, you don't have to walk up there. Bring it down and put it in the boiler room. So I went, oh boy, that's great. So first time I'm sitting there smoking, and the boiler is blowing into the school. And first thing I know, I looked over at the door coming in the boiler room, and there stood the principal. He says, we thought there was a fire. So I got penalized for doing that.
Yeah.
But she sent a note home that I was smoking in school. Well, my father said, forbid me to smoke while I was at school.
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't smoke in the school. I leave my pipe and tobacco up underneath the bread box. No, he says, well, I said, then the janitor told me to bring it down there and smoke it. So come winter time, we all used to trap, and we go out early in the morning, then we go right to school. So this Albert Palmer, he got hit with a skunk, and he comes walking up, and I'm outside, and I said, geez, Al, I said, don't go up in the school. I said, go down in the boiler room. So I got penalized again. I know who sent Albert down.
Why?
the boiler room.
Because the stink went up through the school.
Stink went up through the school, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And no school that day.
What about the pony in school?
Well, we went to the old one-room school over at Norristown Road and Street Road. And they built the new school at Madison Avenue and Street Road. So when we went in there, this boy that was in my grade, his dad bought him a pony so he could ride home for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And we were standing around. He had it tied to the boiler room railing where you had outside steps to get into it. And he was bragging about how frisky the pony was. And I says, oh, that damn nag. I says, don't have gumption enough to go up the steps and through the hall and out the other doors. Oh, how? And I said, all right, we'll hold the doors open for you. So we held the doors open, and I got penalized again. I know who put that up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you have a fight in the schoolyard?
Yeah. We were playing baseball, and I was pitching, and this Alfonso, he was batting, and I struck him out.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so mad, he come to me and was gonna hit me. Well, and I started hitting him, and the principal, she come out and stepped in between us.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, I come around with a haymaker, and I hit her right in the jaw.